Hey everybody, this is your Right Geek, honorary man king, and leader of the Awkward Cough Squad, here with another video. Before I get into the meat of the video, I just want to give you my story update. I am now currently on the top of page 42. I still have quite a ways to go, but I am making progress. As I mentioned on Twitter, I had some success coming up with an original character that I needed for a key moment in the story. Well, a key couple of moments, actually. He's going to be in a few scenes. And it was fun having people, well, mostly Punchy, guess what the character was like. Yeah, so the story is still moving. I'm still working on it. Eventually, I will get it done. It is definitely going to be novella length for sure. So today, actually, the meat of my video today is going to be reading to you this essay that I wrote a while back on Star Trek's Prime Directive. In 2006, I participated in a lively panel debate on the merits and flaws of Star Trek's Prime Directive. Yeah, seems like a million years ago now. Below is an essay based on the outline I drew up for that event. Starfleet General Order 1, the Prime Directive, has gone through something of an evolution since Trek's inception in the 1960s. Originally, its purpose was to protect pre-warp civilizations from the meddling of their technologically advanced galactic neighbors. Over time, it has come to include regulations against intervening in the affairs of warp-capable societies as well. But however it is defined, it is an indisputable fact that this most important law of non-interference has provided the skeleton upon which many Trek episodes have been built. In fact, it can be argued that the Prime Directive is one of the cornerstones of the entire Trek philosophical edifice. Thus, it behooves us to critically examine its premises and effects. Is the Prime Directive good policy, or is it an easy way out? As several episodes demonstrate, the consequences of accidental or deliberate interference with an alien society can be quite serious. Take, for example, John Gill. In the 1968 episode Patterns of Force, Gill, a well-meaning historian and cultural observer, finds the pre-warp Ecosians in a state of anarchy, and decides to help their development along by introducing them to the status efficiency of Nazi Germany. Gill, of course, tries to keep the Ecosians from drifting into Nazi sadism as well, but is soon deposed by an ambitious local who has no such scruples. In the end, only the intervention of the Enterprise crew prevents the Ecosians from launching a war against the neighboring Xeon. A case like this reveals that, whatever its flaws, the Prime Directive does contain within it a core of wisdom. We do need to be circumspect in our interference. Indeed, sometimes it is best not to interfere at all. So yes, there are reasons to make the essentially nationalist case that most of the time we should butt out of countries that are not ours and let them run their own affairs. But should the Prime Directive be treated as an absolute mandate? This is where I, and my brother for that matter, part ways with many Trek fans, as quite frankly I believe some applications of the Prime Directive just don't pass the common sense, indeed the common decency test. First of all, it is pure folly to behave as if the Federation high ideal of non-interference is universally respected. In reality, other galactic powers don't recognize the authority of the Prime Directive and do interfere with other cultures without compunction. In the 1968 episode A Private Little War, Kirk and the others are dismayed to discover that the Klingon Empire has been arming one of two rival tribes with flintlock firearms. In the trilogy that opens DS9's second season, meanwhile, the Cardassians are caught covertly smuggling arms to a radical faction on Bajor in an attempt to instigate a civil war and make possible a new Cardassian occupation. In both instances, the cost of hardline Federation non-interference would have been unacceptably high. In the former case, an entire tribe of people would have been massacred. In the latter, the Bajorans would have once again found themselves toiling under the Cardassian jackboot. Thank goodness both Kirk and Sisko had the good sense to bend the rules. Ultimately, it all comes down to game theory, If we don't do something to stop the malefactors, we and a lot of innocent people are going to get kicked in the teeth. So, in other words, non-interference is generally good, but we should also stick to the basic non-aggression principle. If there is someone out there who is being an aggressor, we can't just let them be aggressive. We have to do something about it. Secondly, absolute application of the Prime Directive often has as its premise an untenable moral relativism. The citizens of the Federation are humane and liberal in the small L sense, but the Prime Directive often forces them into the incongruous position of defending practices and beliefs that they should rightly abhor. It is horrifying to me, for example, that Timothy is returned to his planet at the conclusion of TNG's half-a-life, even though, as people believe, he should die by ritual suicide for the crime of being too old, and that Woxana acquiesces to this turn of events. Cross-cultural dialogue is all well and good. By no means do I advocate running roughshod over foreign societies in a zeal to force our own values on others. But eventually, we have to be willing to draw some lines that must not be crossed. We have to be willing to declare some human rights inviolable and be willing to defend them. Truth is truth on every planet. And this discussion of universal human rights brings me to my last point. Sometimes the Prime Directive has been wielded as an argument against intervening when a world faces an entirely natural cataclysm. In TNG's pen pals, for instance, we must endure this inhuman scene in which the characters debate over whether they should use their technology to halt the break above Dream of 4 and rescue little Sarjenka and her people. Why this matter should be so controversial entirely escapes my understanding. People have a right to life, full stop. If someone's house is burning down, you run and you help them. Standing back and acting as if the fire is somehow preordained by the laws of natural development is insane. Also insane is doing nothing while a disease wipes out an entire population, because inaction will theoretically enable the ascendancy of a rival race. But this is precisely what Dr. Phlox argues Archer to do in Enterprise's Dear Doctor. Humans are not meant to be social Darwinists. It is natural, in fact, it's a moral imperative, to help those who are in genuine need. Mother Teresa is revered for a reason. She and aid organizations like the Peace Corps and the Red Cross represent our best instincts. When sentient life is in danger, humanity should win out over evolution. Moreover, Federation citizens should be allowed to live and act according to a code that respects freedom. They should not be forced to tolerate exploitation, political oppression, or slavery when it is present in other cultures. To apply the Prime Directive as an absolute vitiates our humanity and demonstrates a profound lack of trust in a Federation citizen's ability to tackle difficult moral and political questions. The complex society of the Milky Way, and the complex interactions between those societies, demand that we avoid forcing our policies to conform to a one-stop ideology. What is needed, I think, is a commission charged with making interference decisions on a case-by-case basis. This government body would better reflect the on-starship reality of the Prime Directive's application, a reality in which starship captains frequently decide to violate the Prime Directive, in large part because it has come into conflict with one or more of their basic values. Furthermore, when the Prime Directive Council makes a decision in favor of interference, it should also assume complete responsibility for any negative consequences. This is where thinking, moral human beings are meant to live, smack dab in the center of the storm of cause and effect. Retreating to the Prime Directive, in all cases, is retreating from reason and adulthood. So, let me know what you think about this reflection on the Prime Directive in the comments below, and I'll speak to you again on Thursday.